This might be the greatest aura det in football history as Sadio Mane saves AFCON. Barca's 11-game win streak crumbles whilst Real Madrid turn on Vini Jr. and Ballon d'Or winner Ousmane Dembele scores a Puskas-worthy goal. This is DMAC Daily. What have we just witnessed? The most dramatic, the most chaotic, the most jaw-dropping game of football I have ever seen in my entire life. Now, at face value, a 1-0 final may not sound all that remarkable, especially seeing as though the first 90 minutes or so weren't that overly eventful. But from minute 91 onwards, it's absolute cinema. Senegal appeared to have scored from a corner. However, a very soft foul was given for a push on Hakimi, but as the referee blew his whistle before the ball went in, VAR couldn't overrule the decision anyways. Personally, I didn't think it was a foul. The Senegal bench certainly didn't. Anyways, fast forward 5 minutes and Morocco had a corner of their own. El Hadji Malik Diouf was then in a tussle with Brahim Diaz, with the number 10 falling to the ground dramatically. Again, incredibly soft contact, but the referee goes to the VAR screen. For minutes, he's then staring at the footage. You can see the commotion unfolding behind him. Both benches have lost control. At this point, the fourth official ceases to exist, but referee Jean-Jacques Sendela Ngambo emerges from the mayhem and then points to the spot. At this point, Senegal and their manager Pape Thiaw were beyond incensed and decided to walk off the pitch in protest. An international major tournament final, and they said enough is enough, we're done here. As I said, I've never seen anything like it. All the while, fighting had broken out in the stadium. It was truly ugly and equally stunning scenes. So whilst 99% of Senegal's team and their coaching staff left the pitch, whilst there were fights breaking out left, right and center, Sadio Mane remained. And in a truly exemplary, character-defining moment, he then ran back into the changing room and pleaded with his teammates to come back, to not give up, despite the collective feeling of injustice that had clearly overwhelmed them. So they returned back onto the field, and with stoppage time now exceeding 24 minutes, Brahim Diaz, Morocco's star, stepped up. It's the kind of script you can only dream of. In your own backyard, the hero of the entire tournament for Morocco, and now the chance to win it in the most dramatic circumstances. But unbelievably, he went for the Panenka. The Panenka, and humiliatingly saw his efforts saved. Edouard Mendy read him like a book. That is beyond insanity. Like I said, this is unprecedented levels of aura det. Granted, missed penalties in big moments happen, from JT slipping to Baggio in the World Cup final. Even Messi and Ronaldo have missed spot kicks in these defining moments. But to try and chip the keeper in this situation, a first AFCON in 50 years potentially for Morocco, it's all on the line. The gamble catastrophically backfired. Bro thought he was Diaz Zizou or something. Of course, Senegal will then go on to win AFCON in extra time. Pape Gueye with a spectacular strike. So Sadio Mane, in his last AFCON dance, lifted the trophy for a second time and was awarded player of the tournament. He wasn't even technically their captain today, but his individual heroism and leadership was the reason they somehow prevailed. His legacy is now well and truly secured, one of the greatest to ever do it in all of Africa. Brahim Diaz, on the other hand, would suffer further humiliation, having to collect the award for Golden Boot at the ceremony and then being booed by the entire stadium. He looked beyond traumatized in that moment. It's crazy that there are some conspiracy theorists out there that think he missed that on purpose for whatever reason. As far as insane takes go, that's right up there. But in all seriousness, I'm not sure his reputation within Morocco will ever recover from this. Their coach, Walid Regragui, then went on a tirade at the post-match press conference lamenting today's events, saying it's a shame the image of African football we showed at the penalty, for a coach to tell his players to leave the field. It does not honor Africa. That did not help Brahim, but it's not an excuse. It's disappointing the image we showed today of African football. From the start, it was toxic. And look, he's not wrong here in the sense that it definitely was toxic, but context matters here because Senegal were already justifiably incensed in the build-up to this final, issuing a statement against host nation Morocco for a lack of fair play, citing inadequate security on arrival to Rabat. That could have been a disastrous situation. They also had accommodation issues, having to file a written complaint to get an appropriate hotel. There were issues with the training facilities on offer. Senegal were also given a very limited ticket allocation for the final, so that pretext only amplified their on-pitch woes in that crazy moment. So yeah, madness all round. Maybe maybe a little bit too much chaos, but regardless, this was otherwise a fantastic tournament, and this match in isolation will be talked about for generations. Proper AFCON heritage. Switching gears to club football, and of course the second I glaze Barca for their incredible 11-match winning run, they then immediately go on to lose their next game. Granted, it was a unique contest. Barca had 2 goals ruled out directly by VAR, a penalty overruled by VAR due to an offside call, and then an offside goal too. They also hit the woodwork on 3 separate occasions. They had 25 shots in total. Yamal was genuinely balling out today as well. But it wasn't to be for the Catalans, as Oyarzabal and then Guedes' goal secured a win for the home side. A bad day for Barca, a bad weekend really. They're also reeling from the news that promising academy graduate Dro Fernandez has decided to leave the club imminently, with PSG set to pounce on the 18-year-old for just 6 million euros. That was a bombshell announcement that no one saw coming. To make things worse for Barca, Real Madrid secured a much-needed victory at home thanks to goals from Mbappe via 12 yards and then Raul Asensio. Arbeloa getting his first victory in charge, but it wasn't exactly a pleasant day at the Bernabeu. Boos ringing from the warm-ups, then throughout the entire match. When Vini Jr.'s name was announced right before kickoff, he received a particularly hostile reception. You could see he was visibly distressed in the tunnel as a result. He'd then be whistled the entire match. Now, this concept isn't exactly new at Madrid. CR7 and Bale have been heckled heavily in the past, but in this specific instance, it does feel as though the relationship between the Madrid fanbase and Vini Jr. has turned sour in regards to his form and perhaps more so his antics. Many see him as a big reason behind Alonso's demise. But on a more positive note, Madrid are just 1 point shy now of top spot, so for all the toxicity, there's still a lot to play for this season. Switching gears to the Premier League, and Manchester United have just decimated Manchester City at Old Trafford. 2-0 was an unfair reflection of the actual beatdown that took place. It could have been 5-0 realistically. City didn't create anything either. Lilbro Martinez and Maguire fully pocketed Haaland. Doku and Semenyo offered nothing. I think Pep Guardiola's days at City could be numbered now. They are not looking great this season. Michael Carrick, on the other hand, couldn't have got off to a better start in charge. Just look at the smile on Sir Alex Ferguson's face. Who would have thought that entrusting in Kobbie Mainoo in central midfield would pay off? An absolute disgrace that this man rotted on the bench at United under the incompetent Amorim. So no more Diallo at right wing back, no more Dallo at left wing back, no more Bruno in a double pivot. That nonsensical gimmick is up. United still have evident flaws, but getting rid of Amorim is the best thing they could have ever done. Meanwhile, Liverpool might want to give Xabi Alonso a ring ASAP. Another disappointing result at home, dropping points to a Burnley side that hasn't won in the league since October. Wirtz with a fine goal. He was the only real positive as this team continues to fall flat. They can't defend set pieces. In general, they're just defensively shaky and are lacking that firepower in front of goal. Elsewhere in the Premier League, Arsenal fell to a draw away at Forest, but still extend their margin at the top to 7 points. Liam Rosenior's Premier League debut sees a 2-0 victory for Chelsea at home to Brentford. Tottenham suffered another devastating home defeat, this time against relegation battlers West Ham. I think Frank's days are almost certainly numbered at this point. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get sacked in the next 24 hours, before this video is even uploaded, to be honest. And Crystal Palace suffer another dreadful weekend, first losing Guehi. That was expected. Their manager then lashed out at the club and simultaneously announced he's departing this summer, and they also lost away at Sunderland this weekend. Oh, and to make things worse, their star talisman Jean-Philippe Mateta is linked with several clubs for a January transfer switch, so not an ideal 48 hours or so for Crystal Palace fans. Moving to Ligue 1, and the title race continues to raise eyebrows as unfancied Lens remain top of the league over halfway through the season now, following a 1-0 win over Auxerre. That's their 10th consecutive victory in all competitions. Reminder, Lens' squad is valued 10 times less than that of PSG. Speaking of the French and European champions, they made light work of Lille this weekend. Ousmane Dembele showing Ballon d'Or level quality with that second goal. That's an early nominee for this year's Puskas Award, surely. Outrageous technique and innovation to pull that off. Staying on the theme of crafty French wingers, and Michael Olise, man. What more can be said at this point? 4 goal involvements away at Leipzig as Bayern continue to show no mercy for their Bundesliga opponents. Focusing on Olise though, and that's now 25 goals and assists in 18 league games, 33 in 28 across all competitions. This man is hitting numbers beyond that of Robben and Ribéry. Only Kane and Mbappe have more involvements than the 24-year-old this season. I still feel like he's criminally slept on, just unstoppable right now. Heading to the Serie A, and the top four all secured big wins and clean sheets on the weekend. Lobotka with a fine strike for Napoli. Lautaro Martinez's lone goal was enough to keep Inter top. And new Premier League signings, Daniel Malen for Roma and Niklas Füllkrug for Milan, both scored on debut. Juve, meanwhile, crumbled away at Cagliari, and at the other end of the table, Fiorentina have won away at Bologna to jump out of the relegation zone, which is all the more impressive considering the circumstances of the club president's passing a day prior. Rest in peace, Rocco Commisso. Anyways, guys, that's all for today's DMAC Daily. I'll catch you tomorrow.